Yeah, so this is going to be a quick video, a short video about this Flowfuse Dashboard 2 for Node Red. I've used the Dashboard 1 and I had to switch to Dashboard 2, which was an awful hassle. Basically, it's a lot of work, but it has some features. There's a new version of the Vuetify, I think it's called or pronunciated. So they use. And when you look at the components that Flowfuse deliver, they are basically useless for the dashboard. But then again, you can, of course, they have this template node where you can pretty much make whatever you want. And of course, then Node Red in itself has the scripting possibility. So it's possible to get something working, but we can have a little look at this stuff. Let's see. If we go here, this is the home view. We're just going to look a little at how it looks. The first thing is, if you look at the way of displaying analog values, of course, what I'm using is I have a PLC as the control of my house. So this is just an interface. I have a Simatic S7. It's an old one. It's been running for 20 years and it's running fine. I probably have to upgrade it at some point in time now. Of course, in Node Red, you have a Simatic S7 driver. You even have OPC UA, but as my CPU is old, I don't have OPC on it. Now let's see. Let's say this curve here, that is the Flowfuse curve. The reason why I use this graph DS, I think it's called, for the curves. But then again, this template node that Flowfuse offers can't save the context. So then you would have to save it yourself and then reload it. And that's what's going on here is the reload. So what we have here is of course a progress bar, and of course Flowfuse with their progress bar, they have fixed the unit to percent, so you can't use it for anything but percent. But then of course you can use the template node and make your own progress bar, use the progress bar as a bar graph. The way it is, of course, then has to be horizontal. Yes, so here are temperatures, minimax temperatures, inside, no, outdoor, indoor, and then we have the light intensity, and here is the power. What I do is I have it's accurate power meter, but what I've done is that here in Norway we have this flash on our meter, and of course you can pick that up with a photoresist or something like that, and it's 2000 pulse per kilowatt hours. So that's easy enough when you have a control. You just raise a digital input and then accumulate it yourself. So that sensor cost me something like 50 cents or something. Okay, but the automation is expensive in itself. Not that expensive. Okay, let's go on. So here's Simatic, and so what I have when we talked about the power, here is the power. And this is the graph GS. So what I wanted here was the average, and I wanted a bar graph and things like that, which Flowfuse, the interface, can't offer. So you have to make it yourself. And of course, when as you can't save the context, I just have to reload it every time I go to open this page. So there's hours, yes, per hour, weekday, week, yes, and month. And I think I have some average down here too. This is Norwegian, of course, new Norwegian, those the language is called, and the minimax and things like that. This is all done in the PLC. This registration here is done in the PLC. We have flash backup and stuff like that. Of course, you can save it in a file. I use a Raspberry Pi 5 for the interface here. Yeah, the home. So it's basic. This text too is not. Is also just a viewified text view, because basically you can't use what Flowfuse offers you is you can't use to make an interface. It's tough to say. So I use two things: the graph for one part, and then I have this let's say list view, which I can use because this was pretty good. Yes. Yeah, it's adequate. We can sort and so on. Of course, it doesn't remember your sorting and things like that, but who cares? You could probably script that if you want to, but this is fine. Fine. So here are the events, what's happening in the infrared detectors, and here is some heating I have on. We use pulse width modulation with the PID, just control the heat in 2 areas of the house, things like that. It's not much more of it. I think this also I switch back. Yeah, this is the Flowfuse graph. Yeah. Let's see. Here's some information. And of course, you can run Python on the Raspberry Pi, and there is an execute. I think that's not Flowfuse. So you can execute the script there, but you get return you can show. So yeah, it's just RAM consumption, disk, and temperature on the CPU, and RPM. Okay, there's a library for Python. You can get a lot of information out of it. This is just for fun too. And here are some infrared detectors, and what you can, yeah, and here are the raw values from the analog inputs, and I have some, let's say, control, automatic control of my lighting. So if it's dark out, I turn the lighting automatic on. So you move into rooms, get the lights on and off. They stay on for time. I can lock them on, and so on. You can see that here. It's these are my outer entrance, the roof lighting. And here was one. This is of course a progress bar too. Viewitify, and this is the button. But then just this center and icon on the left, I couldn't figure out how to do it with the Flowfuse stuff. So basically you have to script it. So ready here means that if I know it's not that dark outside, but it's dark, so I need a light on inside. So when I move into my outer entrance, the light is switched on, and then it's switched on for amount of time, and then it's just counting down here and going back to ready. So I have this is the main switch. Yeah, you shouldn't touch that. And then of course it is like you don't have, let's say, if you want for your alarm system, this is just let's say a group pop-up with switches in as to enter codes and stuff like that to switch on the alarm. Because here, well, that's probably a browser problem, that you can't, you don't have a pop-up keyboard that you can show on top of Windows, especially not if you go to the kiosk mode or full screen mode. What is the more reason? Yeah, here is some control, and of course these are these sliders that you that I also have to make myself to make them to have them work. Some of halfway decent. Yeah, and switches automatic and so on. See, this is also a Flowfuse graph too. I didn't have to make this by myself. So this is the control. See, the temperature is a little low, but here's in percent and so on. Yeah. And I have a water flow heating. So this says water valve, which one, and here we can see the electric heating is on, and here's my inner entrance. I have a water valve that's for hot water that's switched on. But here the control is in manual mode, and here's in automatic mode. Yeah, there isn't much more here, I think. No. So if we go and look at it, here are these the Simatic. Of course, you can get some Simatic PLC. Where was it now? Here, you can get a driver for that, a communication driver. It's using an old type protocol, but it works. For more modern CPU, you would of course use OPC-UA for this kind of communication, and so on. So it's here is the data just collected and then is transmitted to where I use it. So let's say if we were on the first floor, of course here is the writing to the PLC. I could also have just set that as a text and have just one write there, but it doesn't much matter. And of course, there's a lot of scripting if you want to use this stuff, you know. So you have to make some. Yeah, I have some subflows for my push button, this progress bar, my buttons, and so on, just to be able to configure this stuff, and so on. And here is the switch, which of course is then just this template with a script in it to have it work halfway, to have a halfway decent HMI system on top of this. So yeah, and here are flows. And what you have to do now here too is, as you don't have any that this, let's say this is you can change or alter the icon here, but it is, when you go to the Flowfuse, it is the template thing. Where is it? There. That's what you have to use, and that one doesn't save the context for one odd reasons. They don't save the context for this one. So what you have to do, you just have to detect. Let's say when I activate my first flow window, like here, that's the first flow over there. I just have to detect that, and then you just have to populate all this information again every time I select a window. So these subflows, they are just aware that I select this window, and then they just push a message into the template here, and everything is redrawn. And that's what if you look at the energy here, when I still have capped, I think these are Flowfuse, of course, graphs, yes, and these are, yeah, okay, these are the template graphs, and you have to delay them a little bit, because then they won't repaint and so on. And again, you would have to just detect when this energy window, which was this one, is activated, and then you have to redraw this. So here it's just to replace everything in here. What I wanted was the average as far as I'm in the day, from 0 to around 10, which is time now. So I have an average of 2.49 kilowatt hours. Here I of course could write the units too, but I didn't. And here is for Thursday in Norway. Monday is our first day, and here is we are still in January, so I don't have an average here. And now we are in week 3, I think, and the average so far per week here. It's cold in Norway, so you have to use a little, even if you have a stove with firewoods in it or something, you have to use a little electrical heating, which is becoming expensive too in Norway too. And so what you have to do with automation is you would have to compute consumption too. There is another video I'm going to show too, where I use this home automation. What is it called? It's called Home Assistant, of course, that's what it's called. Yeah, which I also use too, but just for fun. Which is pretty powerful, and but I couldn't switch. There would be a lot of scripting to switch all of this stuff to Home Assistants. But I've done some of it, so that's going to be for another video. Okay, here, yeah, this I think this is just some old, yeah. This is JavaScript. It's not a good language, but of course it's adequate. You can do whatever you want. What else? So there's a lot of scripting with number formatting and stuff. And the reason why is that the functionality of what you get out of the dashboard here, the table is okay, the text is pretty useless. Switch has no value, and they had, I think they have it is gauge or whatever, which with this half moon analog value is useless. That's not a way to present any analog information in a decent system. So that's why I had to make this progress. But what I would have used was, they have a progress bar, don't they, somewhere? I think they had. Didn't they? No, I think scratch. Out table, switch, button group, which you can't use. The button is the thing you can use. There. It's too easy to see. This one, of course, it's percent. It's useless. So what you can use, of course, if they hadn't had this one, you couldn't use this dashboard whatsoever. And the event, I think, is probably used for. Of course, of course you have to use this one just to detect the window. Yes. And what the audio, I don't think it's useful yet. The UI control, yeah, of course, I use that for something too. Yeah, of course, that was, you have to use it if you want to control a pop-up and things like that. So you have to use these just to get the dashboard working. But when it comes to the presentation of stuff, there's not much you can use. Text switch, yeah. The button was kind of okay, but it's not good enough. File input and things like this is not really interesting. The slider is inadequate. Yeah, so pretty much the table was okay. The graph was kind of okay. It was limited, but that's one is not bad. But else there's yeah. The form, I haven't used that. There might be some things in here that's useful. Okay, but that's just for the house, and the house in itself. I'm running this on a Raspberry Pi, and then I have a couple of Raspberry Pis and displays to operate on this. But of course, I can reach it from any PC in my house, and do control too. Let's say, yeah. And of course, I could switch on the light here. This one also is on infrared or a movement detector. But here I can just switch this on. So if I have go upstairs in my living room, which is, it's not stove in English, stove, that's living room, then the light would turn on, and when I leave, I think that's just a parameter somewhere. There's some parameters you can put in here too. This one too, of course, I don't think Flowfuse had it. And here in Viewify, of course, it was not good either, because you had to script a lot if you want this one to move on the other side, and if you have start like I have here, start of the night and end of the night, which of course the night could start. It has to do with the light and how the lighting is outside. Of course, that can start earlier than 000, but then you had to script and keep track of these stuff. I don't know why they did it. If you have these two, you know, this one just belongs to one output and this one to another one. If they overlap, who cares? It could be an option to block it too, but this Flowfuse doesn't have this one, so I just have to make my own here too. And the buttons are everywhere. I don't know. The buttons is just make them float a little too and get a little 3D effect and so on. Yeah, whatever. It works. And then of course it's the color. You know, most people red is basically, you can't use red for anything but false. So this is kind of a dark red, but you know the proper red, 25500, is just for faults, and that's okay too, basically for Flowfuse, because you can pretty much set your colors, so you can avoid these red colors for anything but false. Then, yeah, I think that was pretty much what's in here. It is fun though. And JavaScript is JavaScript, you know, it's what it is. There's not a lot. Yeah, format number, you know, most of these scripts are just short. And the Node-RED itself isn't that bad, I think. In this version, you know, the flow, the concept is okay. You have this input and output. You can pretty much organize it. But there is it's quite a bit of work. But you know, if you want to learn yourself JavaScript in, let's say, a productive way and do something, that's just not some HMI stuff, but actually do something. This is okay. Now, you have to remember, when you have a control like I have, there's nothing in the HMI here. I can just take my Raspberry Pi and throw it away. And my house control would just run on. But then, of course, I wouldn't have an interface, and I would have to go on with my programming equipment to alter parameters and stuff like that. But let's say I have push buttons and so on, and sockets, so my house would work without this. But you never put any control whatsoever in your HMI. Nothing. It doesn't do anything. It's just a window into your control, and that's it. Because this one, the Raspberry Pi, isn't all that bad. But say a PLC is made to run for 20 years without an error. And you don't get your PC to do that, or a Raspberry Pi or something. You get an update and everything crashes and things like that. So that's the reason why this is just a window into your real control. Yeah, it's a little back and forth, but there was a little information. So the reason why I started this was I had this dashboard 1 in Node-RED, which was open source, but that one got depreciated, you know, so they didn't maintain it anymore. And then looked into, okay, Flowfuse, they made a dashboard 2, and they said it was going to be free. Of course, it's not going to be free forever. They have to monetize this stuff and make money. But then I say, okay, I'm going to switch to this and see if I can make a better HMI system, let's say more graphical, let's say correct, depends upon the eye viewing. That was a lot of work, awful lot of work. I just started out just replacing what he had in the dashboard 1, which wasn't that nice really. But here you can make, let's say, there are some, let's say, there are some standards on how let's say a background screen, what colors you should use not to get tired your eyes, and let's say the situation of VNS and so on. I could have done a lot more on that if I wanted to. But then I just looked at, just replace it one-to-one. It was pretty useless. And then I had to start looking into the Vuetify and this template node and see what I could do, and a little back and forth, and a lot of scripting and making sub flows and so on, to get to where this system is now. So there's quite a few hours in here. But like I said, the community for the Flowfuse Dashboard 2, the community isn't that good, but Node-RED community is good in itself, and the Vuetify community is or the information there is adequate. You can get to do something, a little YouTubing and so on, then you get it done. But of course, then this is not for everyone to do this. But when the next video that I'm going to make here is on this Home Assistance, which I haven't done a lot with Home Assistant. I could probably have done a lot more, but it was just to find out, because I expect that at some point in time I would have to start to pay for this Flowfuse dashboard, and of course then I'm just going to switch to another HMI that's free. I'm not going to pay royalties or something for my house automation and so on. So in some point I could probably switch to Python too. You know, Python, they can communicate with PLCs and Simatics too, which I think that's what's used in the home automation stuff. What was it called now? Home Assistant. And the Home Assistant is a really nice community, which you pretty much find the information you need to make whatever you want. Okay, but that's another video. So that was this video.